Hey guys, Steve here. Today we gotta look at the Lyon. I know I displayed the ship, or showed the ship yesterday, I think. But we got a game on Fault Line. This is a map that needs a lot of coverage because very rarely do you see players that really understand how to play it. We actually have a variation on Domination mode. I've covered this map extensively on Capture the Base mode. The Cell Spawn, if they play it how they usually play, which they're actually going to replicate the strategy this game, the Cell Spawn should lose every single time because the North Spawn directly north of me, there's 6 ships. There's 3 directly in front of me. There's 3 slightly to the west, kind of kitty corner to where we spawned on B. All 6 of those ships can shoot me right now as soon as I'm spotted. A, there's 3 ships north of the 3 over there. Now, the South Center spawn on Capture the Base mode almost always goes all to the west, all 3 of those ships. To get that 6-on-3 over there, because of the island cover over there, it takes 3 or 4 minutes for those ships to get over there, a third of the game. And by the time they do that, normally this side's slaughtered, they can get on the base, or they can start getting flanking shots and wrap it up very quickly. So it's an extremely poorly designed map in that the North spawn has a massive advantage. Whether or not they understand they do that is kind of the determining factor on who wins this match. If the North spawn knows that they can quickly slaughter these 3 ships down here and then exert control over the map, they should win the game. If they play passively or they do something goofy, then the South spawn has a chance. Or if the center spawn that spawns by B actually plays their position, then the South spawn can have a chance. But that, you almost never see that happen. So kind of the key to understanding this map is if you spawn where I am, you're immediately overloaded. If you spawn north of A on the red team, you're bound to be overloaded almost every time, but it's going to take a little while. So you can see here we're going to be playing defensively. The problem with the spawn, the South Center spawn going all the way to the west in Domination mode, it's a losing play in Capture the Base mode. It's doubly bad in Domination mode because you can see now we've just given them a cap. They're going to be getting 3-4 points every 5 seconds for the duration that they control that, and that can add up very quickly. In Domination mode, you have 2 ways to win the game. You can win on score by getting 1,000 points before the enemy team does, or you can kill all the enemy ships. But if you're going to concede a bunch of caps, you remove the easier way to win the game, and you're forced to win the harder way. Killing all the ships when they're rapidly accruing points, if they get 2 caps, it's hard. If they get all 3, it's extremely hard to kill all the ships before they get all those points. And it's not going to happen very often. So, for some reason, again, they don't want to play B on this side. They're just going to go over there. You don't need 6 ships versus 3 to capture 1 cap. That's just not a good allocation of your team's resources. Nevertheless, that's almost always what's going to happen. You can see here, we got our 3 ships. We're kind of getting overwhelmed. They haven't yet played C, although if you keep an eye on the map, one of those cruisers that's over there is going to go ahead and get on C, take the easy points. Great play from his perspective. But there's nothing we can really do. If the center South spawn actually plays B, even if they just kind of guard it, even if they end up losing it but they don't concede it, they can get crossfire shots into those grayed out ships that are the north of us. You see where they spawn just to the southwest of that big island. If they just move forward a little bit, get to the south side of that circle in the middle, they can support this side. Much easier to deal with. Then they could potentially win B if they're contesting it. That'll allow us to either contest C directly or, clean up this flank a lot more efficiently. A lot of problems caused by overloading that side. Nevertheless, in this game, they do wind up killing, looks like a couple ships over there, and then driving the third one off. That's an acceptable result. We're going to lose all the ships over here. You can see we got a cruiser that's about to go down. And the destroyer was previously eliminated. So I get asked a lot what to do if your team abandons flanks, or if you got a bunch of potatoes who kill themselves. What should I do in that situation? You can play really aggressively, get a couple salvos off, get yourself killed, or you kind of play how we're doing here. This is the play style that you need to employ anytime you're holding down a losing flank. We're on the kiting side to begin with here, the defensive side. Kiting means sailing away from the enemy while fighting them, if you're new to the game or the terminology. But by doing that, by staying alive as long as possible, number one, you can deal some damage, maybe get a couple ships down. But the idea is you're allowing the team that has the numbers, the strength, the overload advantage, you're allowing them to figure it out, get their heads out of their rear ends, and make something happen. So you can see here we're south of both caps. Normally I kind of harp on people in domination mode for you got to actually play within the cap zones to have an influence on it. But again, we're trying to slow people down. I'm moving over here to this position, basically kind of where the south center spawn started with. That's going to give us some crossfire shots in here. We want to support these guys. We're defending, you can see on the map, we're angled towards kind of sea. Those are any ships that are trailing us. They're going to be shooting us at the rear at an angled situation. So we're defending ourselves from those guys as much as possible. The guys that are sailing through B, the red ships, they're not paying attention to us. They got a bunch of blue ships in front of them that are occupying their attention. So by moving forward here, moving to the west, to the southwest, now we're getting these crossfire shots. You see we're able to deal quite a bit of damage. We blasted the Normandy there. Earlier we got the York there. Now we're supporting the strength while kind of still slowing these guys down. At any moment, if these cruisers garner our attention, if they start causing too many problems and force us to react to them, well, we can go ahead and turn around one-shot them. So they know that both of these cruisers over here are in a situation where they're pushing into a battleship with no spotting. And this is a good example of the power of having spotting, having the destroyer in the area. Those two cruisers can't take shots from the Lyon. It's a Shores, it's a Cheshire, both of those ships. Shout out to my viewers in Britain who will roll their eyes when I say Cheshire. But these guys can't fight us 1v1 in the open. This guy's going to try. And we're going to actually see some... When we reviewed the ship, I was saying it's kind of tough to see how the ship reacts armor-wise when you're playing it. Here we're going to see some shots. We're actually going to see some bounces, some ricochets when this thing's angled. So, I mean, if you hit it... And these are Lyon guns, so, I mean, they're not the highest caliber guns known to man, but they're battleship guns. They can definitely wreck this cruiser. But when he's angled, and with these lower caliber guns, we're getting some favorable results from his mine, but when we're kind of landing them through the deck, through the nose there, I don't know exactly where that shell went, but we're able to get it into that citadel. I did see an armor view on the Cheshire, by the way. It's got a really long waterline citadel, and then it's got a stepped up central section that's an even higher citadel. So a lot of citadel in that ship. It doesn't matter how we exactly accessed it, but we're able to punch through. And you can see there, we basically weathered the storm, that 6-3v3. We didn't defend the caps, and usually that's a major problem. But because we slowed them down, because blue took over that side, and they began exerting force into the center, now they're actually getting pressure into the middle. They're actually going to capture B, if you can believe it. You know, that's kind of the idea in these situations. It's extremely frustrating playing with teammates who abandon flanks or get slaughtered very early. But if you're not too frustrated to just kind of throw your hands up and quickly die, you're still trying to win the game, this is kind of how you do it. You got to slow them down, buy some more time for your team, inflict damage, look for opportunities to support any teammates that you may encounter, and if you do all those things successfully, now your odds are going to go from extremely dire to, you know, better and better as time goes on. Shores is in a situation now where, you know, as long as we don't get too close to him, I think he's got torps. I haven't played the Shores for a little while, but as long as we don't get too close to him that he could potentially torp us, not a lot he can really do. I thought we were going to play a little game of chicken, ring around the rosy there. He was going to make it difficult to catch him, but I think he kind of lost track of me. He's got other people on the blue team engaging him now, and that allows us to move forward here. And we're going to go ahead and blast this guy. And you can see we did wind up with the 2-1 cap advantage, and we actually have a score lead, even though we had a cap deficit. Now that's because we're up multiple ships. So I'm not going to take like all the credit for the game. Certainly the guys executed on the western flank. It's just that Sol Center spawn moving all the way to the west, usually that's a losing proposition. If you add that, the fact that, you know, I could have very easily, all three of these ships on the east could have very easily been dead within the first 5 minutes. Then I don't see how blue can really reliably win that game at that point in time. But Fault Line, I'm not saying he can never have good games on this map. It's just, for some reason, players play the exact same way, game in, game out. They don't really evaluate, is this actually working? I don't know why the Sol spawn always goes west. It doesn't even seem like they're pointed in that direction. I think they're spawn in, pointed north, but they always go to the west. Like, we're talking 95, 98% of the time. And I wish they would stick around till the end of the game to see if they actually won, because humans are kind of born with the ability to recognize patterns. And the pattern of that strategy is loss, 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 loss. Meanwhile, the north, central, and the northeast spawns, if they push forward aggressively, wipe out this eastern flank, should be win, 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 win. So there's another look at Fault Line, guys. I hope it helps you guys out playing the game. If you did enjoy that one, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.